Hello. We have discovered your first movie, and it is one of my two favorite movies at the Deauville American Film Festival official competition. Please, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background?
Hey, I'm Michael Sarnoski. I was raised in Wisconsin, in the Midwest, in the United States, and I live in Los Angeles now, and this is my first feature film.
After directed some short movies as Love of the Dead, Fight Night Legacy, and some series episodes, Fight Night Legacy and Olympia, Big is your first movie. What can you tell us, please, about the origin of this one?
So this one was originally just the image of this old man in the woods with his pig that kept sticking in my head, and I had it, written down for a couple years before I even tried to write it. And there was something about it that I just found very moving: the isolation, the sense of endearment, and yeah, I eventually decided, okay, let's see where this story can go, and so I explored it and wrote it and turned into Pig.
What should be for you a good acting direction? What can you tell us about your work with Nicolas Cage and Alex Wolff?
They were both incredible to work with. They were super committed to the project, super committed to their performances. They both really just understood their characters. I didn't have to worry about them because I knew they were talented, and the fact that they understood where their characters were coming from was so helpful. And then the fact that they had an amazing kind of energy together, they really had this amazing relationship and friendship formed over the course of the film, and it really came across on screen. So that was nice to you can't design or direct that sort of chemistry, and so that was really beautiful that they also formed a wonderful relationship over the course of it.
What can you tell us about your filming locations?
So we shot everything on location in Portland, Oregon. The only set we built was the shack in the woods, and it was just a real shack in the woods. It didn't have breakaway walls or built-in lights or anything. I mean, it was just a shack in the middle of the woods with a garden and a latrine outside, and everywhere else was a real, Portland restaurant, Portland Street, Portland Mausoleum, and that meant it was, quite hard. We had only 20 days to shoot, and we had a lot of company moves. We were moving sometimes multiple times a day to get to different locations, but it also meant that there was a lot of real authenticity to the locations, and you really felt the city in, and you felt like this was a real place. Even though it went into some kind of strange places and strange tones, it always kind of felt like, okay, I could go to these places, because you can.
Many people have compared the starting point of the film with John Wick, which is also distributed in France by Metropolitan FilmExport. What do you think about it?
About John Wick, or about the comparison?
About the comparison between your movie and John Wick.
I mean, I think they're very different films. I hadn't seen John Wick until after I wrote the first draft. I think I was aware of it, but I think because people started mentioning, this sounds a little John Wicky, I avoided watching it, and then I finally watched it after I had a draft of the script, and I was fine with it because I was like, oh, this is extremely different. Beyond the sort of core guy and his animal, it's quite different. I loved John Wick. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I don't have anything against a great action movie. But yeah, I think we're very different films, and I think we can both exist equally.
What were your main sources of inspiration? Some movies, some books?
For Pig, big ones would probably be all Coen brothers. I love the Coen brothers. I mean, No Country for Old Men is one of my favorite movies. So it has a little bit of that. I mean, they're so just precise with their tone. It's they can mix this kind of darkness and emotional thing with humor, and no one can do it like the Coens. Jim Jarmusch was a big one. There's this film called Revanche. I'm sure I checked them. I forget where it's from, but it's about a bank robber who's kind of basically his heist goes wrong and something kind of tragic happens, and so he has to go out to live with his dad in this cabin kind of in the rural area and kind of cope with the tragedy that happened, but also just kind of figure out how to live in a day-to-day way. And there's 5-minute sequences of him chopping wood, and there was something about the kind of feel of that film that I definitely thought about a lot for Big.
Can you tell us if in the role of this chef, Nicolas Cage, comes instantly in your memory? He's rather known for action movies. You give him one of the best roles in the movie. Can you tell us what he brings to build his character?
What Rob brings to the chef character?
Yeah.
I think Nick brings to this character what he brings to every character, which is an incredible amount of commitment. I mean, people think of him as this like larger-than-life actor doing these over-the-top things, but all he is he just commits 100% to whatever role he is, and if it's a big action movie, he'll commit to that. If it's a small, intimate drama, he'll commit to that. And so he brought a real commitment, a huge professionalism. I mean, he showed up on set so ready to work. I think he might have had the entire script beyond his dialogue memorized. He knew the action lines. I mean, he's been doing this for almost half a century now, so he really knows what he's doing. And he brought his artistry. I think, he's not a professional chef, but we had some actual chefs train him in how to use the knives and all of that. But that takes a lifetime to get to that level. But what he has is a lifetime of being an actor and being an artist, and he found a way to really convey that sort of care and focus from his craft into the cooking, so you feel like this is something he loves and cares about and can just be a part of, and the way he uses his hands to kind of manipulate the food, it's maybe technically not what a chef would do. I mean, it is, but it just he has that care and that love and that focus that's really incredible.
Which are for you the good ingredients to create a good drama movie as this one?
Sorry, say that?
Which are for you the good ingredients to create a good drama movie as this one?
What ingredients?
Yes.
I think the ingredient for me that I focus on is just that character, that what is that core character? Why am I interested in him? Knowing sort of why you're interested in the character, but also having a little bit of mystery for yourself with the character, where you kind of, as the writer and director, you want to lean in and kind of discover this character more, and letting the character kind of grow on the page and inform you who they want to be is really valuable. Start with a character that you care about, because then the audience will hopefully care about them, and you'll be willing to go through whatever journey they go through.
Please, can you tell me how it's difficult to work with animals as a pig?
It's tricky to work with a pig, especially we couldn't afford a trained pig, so we just had to go around to local farms in Portland. And early on, Vanessa, my producer, we did these early trips up to Portland, and we just drove around to local farms, found some farm pigs that were all extremely sweet. We decided on one named Brandy, who just had very soulful eyes and was this beautiful kuni pig. And that's a type of pig from New Zealand. And we decided on her, and then, we had an animal trainer work with her for a week or two, which isn't really enough time to train tricks or anything like that, but, Nick spent some time with her, and she learned that he had food, and she would follow him around for food. And then otherwise we just had to keep things very calm on set the days that she was there, because she wasn't used to a movie set, and I think movie animals have a little bit of experience with a set, which can be a really loud, hectic place, people shouting and moving things and lights and all of that. So the days that Brandy was on set, we just had to keep everything very toned down and very quiet and calm, and no one could make any sudden moves because pigs can get kind of spooked and run off. So yeah, and beyond that, we just, she's authentically just kind of being a pig in the movie. There's no acting there, it's just her being a pig.
What was for you the most difficult scene to shoot, and why?
The most difficult scene, probably the underground fight sequence was difficult, just because that was the most kind of constructed scene. There was a lot going on. There were a lot of extras. We were really creating this world, and we were also shooting in an abandoned paper factory that was really difficult and dirty, and we all had to wear masks, and it was a hard one, and there were a lot of moving parts, and it was complicated, there are a lot of things happening that the audience is a little not 100% clear on, and finding that right balance between leaving some mystery and some space for imagination, but also giving them enough to hang on to. That was just a complicated sequence to do.
What can you tell us about your collaboration with the composers Alexis Graf-Sass and Philippe Klein?
They were amazing, and it's a tricky movie tonally, so finding the right vibe of the music for different times, and how that changes over the course of the film, and when to use silence and when to use music. It was a long conversation. It wasn't one of those movies that you could sit down and be like, okay, we're going to do this here, this here, this here, and this here. It was something where they really tried a lot of different things, and we experimented, like, what if we did put something here, and what if we, how would this affect the pace, how would this affect things emotionally? So it was a very kind of back and forth experimental process. I'm so happy with how we ended up. I hope I don't think they want to murder me. I'm sure it was very stressful to sort of have that back and forth and need to kind of discover it as we went along. But they were both just really sweet people, and I adore them as human beings and as artists. And I'm so impressed with what they pulled off, because you watch it now and it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense. This music fits perfectly, but it's not as easy as that to actually get to that place when you have a movie that kind of shifts tones as much as ours does.
What did you learn and retain from making this movie?
What did I learn
from making this movie? As the first movie?
Obvious things. I learned that you need to surround yourself with people that care about the project and are on the same team, because it's really hard to make a movie, especially on a tight budget. And if you don't have people that understand what they're trying to do and really care about what they're trying to do, you're not going to be able to make it through or make something that has kind of a heart to it. So, finding people that believe in the project and are just kind, artistic, passionate people is everything.
Your film was very well received yesterday of the American Film Festival in Deauville, and the debut after the film was just as successful as the film. Did you expect such a good reception in France?
I didn't expect such a good reception anywhere. I knew we were making a movie that we cared about and that I think is a strong film. But I also know that it's a very specific kind of strange film, and I thought there was a chance that there could be a small group of people that really loved it and a bunch of other people that kind of were like, where's all the action? What is this? So I've been really pleasantly surprised to see that the vast majority of people like what it is and respond to it emotionally and are moved by it. So yeah, that's been wonderful.
The American Film Festival, Deauville, is my favorite festival in France because it allows me to discover the best American independent cinema. What is your feeling actually about this beautiful festival?
Oh, Deauville has been amazing. This is the first festival I've gotten to go to, and it's after a year and a half of a pandemic, to be in this amazing town and these amazing hotels, and they do such an incredible job with this festival. And the screening was the largest screening I've seen this film at yet. It was kind of terrifying, but the theater was beautiful and huge, and I've had a wonderful time. And also the food here is amazing. I've been eating a lot of seafood, and I can't get enough of it. The oysters, the mussels, everything is incredible. So yeah, I will try to come back to this festival every time I can.
Nice. And my last question, which are your current projects?
So I'm writing a few things. I'm writing a couple features. I'm working on a TV show with Vanessa, the producer from Pig. And then I'm taking some meetings and talking about some other possible projects. So I'm kind of trying to take my time on them. I don't want to dive into a second film too quickly. I want to figure out, what I care about, what I want to explore, and not get too starry-eyed and excited about any one thing. I'm trying to take my time. So I have a few things that I'm working on, and hopefully I'll be able to talk more about them soon. But for right now, I'm just seeing which one goes forward first.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
It will be online next Sunday.
Awesome.
I will make a transcription.